Chapter 5, Relationships within Triangles, Section 1, Midsegments of Triangles. There are going to be a lot of theorems from this chapter, and they're all very important for future reference. Make sure you study them, copy them down, and ask any questions if you don't understand any part of them. So Theorem 5.1 is the triangle midsegment theorem. It states that if a segment joins the midpoints of two sides, so D and E are joined, of a triangle, then the segment is parallel to the third side, so DE is parallel to AB, and it is also half as long. So there's two pieces of information here. We know that if we take the midpoint of side AC and the midpoint of side BC, so D and E, and join them, that creates a midsegment. When that midsegment is created, we know two things about it. That it's parallel to the third side, and that it's also half the length of the third side. So let's say that AB was 6 units long, that would make DE 3 units long. But we know that they're parallel as well. So we can use alternate interior angles, corresponding angles. For example, these two angles would have to be congruent because they're corresponding. As an example, what are the three pairs of parallel segments in triangle DEF shown to the right? So let's look at the midsegments. We have midsegment RS. Well, that's point R, which is on side DE, point S, which is on side FE, so this must be parallel to DF, the third side. Then we have segment RT. Well, R is on side DE, T is on side DF, so it must be parallel to that third side there, EF. So we have, so far, that line segment RS is parallel to line segment DF, and that line segment RT is parallel to line segment EF. And our third pair would be the third midsegment, ST, is parallel to that third side, DE. Now our next example in this bottom left-hand corner says that in triangle RST, G, H, and K are all midpoints. If RS is 28 units long, so this whole thing is 28 units long, GH, just this piece, is 20 units long, and RH, just this piece, is 22 units long. What are the lengths of KH, ST, and GK? Well, starting with RS. If RS is 28 units long, then the midsegment that's parallel to it has to be half of that. So that means that KH must be half of 28, which would mean that it's 14 units long. Now looking at GH. Well, GH is parallel to ST because GH is the midsegment that joins points G and H, so it's parallel to the third side. And if this is 20, that means ST must be twice that, so it must be 40 units. We also have that RH is 22. Well, we know that the midsegments join the midpoints. If this is the midpoint, then this piece must be congruent to this piece. So HT must also be 22 units long. So this whole side must be 44 units long. And the midsegment that's parallel to it must be half of that, which would be 22 units long. So it's like a chain reaction again. You get one piece of information and you fill in as much other information as you can, and then you pick whichever answers you need. Now in the figure at the right, AD is 6 units, so this small piece is 6 units. Notice that there's no line over AD because we're talking about its measurement. DE is 7.5 units, so this piece here is 7.5 units. And they're asking for the lengths of DC, the length, so we're not going to put the line anymore, AC, EF, and AB. Well, given what we have, let's fill in as much information as we can. If this piece is 6 units and this is the midpoint, this other piece must be 6 units, which means the whole side AC must be 12 units. Well, that's one of the questions, so we're going to fill that in as our answer. If DE is 7.5 units, then the line parallel to it, so the third side, must be twice that, so it must be 15 units. Well, it's asking us for AB as well, so we can fill in 15 units. We also know that since this whole side is 12 units, the parallel mid-segment must be half of that, so EF must be 6 units. And we know, as we said before, I didn't fill this in yet though, DC must be the same length as AD because D is the midpoint, so DC must also be 6 units.